Hello, girlfriends. Happy Friday. More importantly, happy International Women's Day. And welcome to episode 20 of the Shameless Ambition podcast.
Dude, I can't believe we're on episode 20 already.
Whoop, whoop. I'm Justine Eno.
I'm Lindsay Dalen.
As if you don't know already, but just in case you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to our podcast. And we're in a new studio today.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
We've been watching this come together for months.
Since we found
husband.
out.
Since we started the podcast.
Well, since we found out we were pregnant.
Oh, that's
remember,
right.
I went into like a spiral of like my dreams are dying. and then Ty was like, oh, I'll build a podcast studio.
That's
so
right.
You don't ever have to leave the house.
And he followed through on his promise.
Yeah.
We are officially recording our first podcast in the content cave over at Shay Eno. And this is a big day.
Yeah, we're excited. It's been a work in progress. I know, I think, remember Mike was here too.
Yeah.
The first time Ty gave us a tour. So, and this is so kudos to my husband because he got the job done. But we walked in and he was in fix it mode of let's get this studio ready. And we looked around and we're like, good job. Good. Right? It was
E for effort.
He did. He had the vision and he kind of slapped it on. But then no, he hired some people to come in and make it look amazing. So kudos to everyone who put us here today. But we are on to different conversations other than that. We'll talk about that a different day. Today we are going to talk about all things women because it's International Women's Day. So we want to talk about our stories with inspirational women and women that have inspired us up to this point in our lives and share some stories and just talk about all great things women.
I think International Women's Day is such an important day to recognize and celebrate. It's not something that I grew up celebrating or acknowledging, but as I get older, I find so much power in this day and sharing the energy and the vibe of women truly celebrating and supporting one another.
I don't even think it was a day when we were growing up.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I didn't Google that. I have my phone. I might just quickly. But I don't know if it was actually an acclaimed day
when it started.
We were growing up. So, which is amazing if it has, now it's a thing, right?
Exactly.
That's the important part is that there is, women should be celebrated every day, obviously, but I'm so happy that there is a day where we can really surrender in and just soak in how amazing women truly are across the world.
This day last year, we were at Shameless Ambition. It was Friday of Shameless Ambition, the conference, and we were in a room surrounded by 100 ambitious women who the vibe in that room that day was incredible. And I think it really set the tone for our whole year last year.
It filled my whole cup.
Me too.
For months and months and months to come, I would reflect back to shameless moments at the conference of just some really big highlights. Of course, for me, my teaching that yoga class was probably one of the most moving moments I've ever had as a person and as a yoga teacher. But there was so many moments throughout the entire weekend, especially on that dance floor, that I can still look back and feel that feeling. That's how palpable it was. It was, pretty amazing.
Well, it's when I took the stage that morning to open the conference and I looked out across
Looked
that
like
room.
a badass, by the way. Okay.
You know what, though? I've actually been feeling kind of emotional lately this month leading up to International Women's Day because this time last year I was quite a different person. I was focused solely on the conference and what I was hoping to achieve with that. And, aside from my financial goals, I achieved all of my personal and professional goals with Shameless Ambition. But I was stressed out and I was kind of manic and I was working nonstop. And it wasn't a healthy use of my time and my talents in a sense of I was just going too hard and
in one lane only.
Exactly. I didn't have consistency. I didn't have stability. I didn't have the schedule that I've put in place for myself now, which is so much more manageable and achievable. But I look back on what led me to Shameless Ambition, and despite the stress and the loss of sleep and the tears and the frustrations, I wouldn't have traded it for anything because it's landed me where I am today. And I've never been happier or healthier or more productive or more consistent. And
well, it was the pilot, right?
it was the pilot.
What do you like? They never go as planned, right? And there's always going to be weird hiccups, and you're going to look back and be like, I wish I did this, and this differently. But I mean, that's like anything, right? Like if you're not looking back and wondering how you're going to continue to grow or challenge or make it better, then what are you really doing?
Right.
So it was an amazing conference, and sitting here, obviously you're going to pick it apart from the back end and be like, I would change this, I would change that. But from someone who had the privilege of seeing a little bit of both sides, it was amazing.
It truly was the catalyst for me that solidified in my life that I belong in a lane working with women.
Mm-hmm.
I had spent so much of my life in a very male-dominated field, surrounded by male clients all the time, and it was that weekend that solidified in my soul that this is where I belong, talking to women, having conversations with women, creating opportunities for women, because as stressful as that was last year, these stories that came out of it and the women that shared what a difference it made in their life, that was really what was so worth it. And I'm just so thankful to everyone that supported that conference. And although we're not doing it again this year, or, maybe sometime in the future, that's still, in our back pocket. But
that's for us to know and you to find out later.
That's right. I'm just feeling really grateful for where I've landed, and so grateful for all the women that have cheered me on, supported me, just because it's me. They say that there are some people that will support you no matter what, just because it's you, and there are some people that won't support you just because it's you. And I definitely learned that last year.
Yeah.
But I know who my tribe is, and it's the best feeling ever to feel so loved and supported and seen.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up because it's your conversation always to bring up. It's not mine. But you did struggle a bit with people last year, right? And like not supporting you. And I think it goes to show, though, like how confident you felt walking on the stage that day, knowing that's where you belonged, despite having those people throw a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they made you doubt yourself or try to, right? Like they were trying to put that doubt in your mind that you didn't belong there.
Yeah.
Or that, like you weren't big enough for that yet.
Right.
Or, like those sorts of things. And you were like, F you, like I am. And if you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine. But like, I'm going to continue on. And I think there was a lot of power in that. And it came through in the conference of just like the people in this room want to be here. And that's the power in it, is that, we were all surrounded by other women that might have been uncomfortable, but we all wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And we all had a purpose in being there. And, honestly, I said it on an earlier podcast when I think we talked about the conference quite heavily, but I said like to see the women, because I was there to help check in people. So to see the women checking in and, giving their name and being kind of nervous, I mean, like, do I have a seat number? Like, you want an assigned seat because you don't want to have to decide yourself, because that's intimidating. And versus iconic 90s on the dance floor, like,
zero inhibitions,
oh
zero
my gosh.
fear of judgment.
Like, I've never felt so free.
It was awesome.
On that dance floor. And then to, like, have moments where you can stop and look around and just witness other women being so soulfully free in themselves was, like, earth-shattering.
Yeah.
Like, it, like, brings me to tears to think about just how good everybody felt. And I think that as women, talking about International Women's Day, we've always had problems with each other, right? But to have experiences like that where that you can like fall into a village of women and feel okay is what starts to break it down eventually, right? It doesn't always just happen with one event or one thing.
Well, and that's truly what gave me the strength to get up on that stage that day. On Friday, International Women's Day, open the conference, knowing that I had just lost a decent amount of money, that I wasn't sure what my future looked like. I really was at this very strange space in life, but what gave me the confidence was knowing I had all of these women there that had my back. They were there because they chose to be there. They were there because they understood that I had something of value to deliver. And, the whole conference went off without a bang. Every single minute of it was packed full of information and support and confidence building, and women truly showing up for one another.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I knew, and what I held on to the whole weekend was just the experience that was being created, even though it was the pilot project and it was hard for me to be able to communicate what I was going to deliver. For anybody who hadn't seen me perform in that arena before, it was perfect. The whole weekend was perfect. It went off without a hitch. It was flawless. I've had women tell me that they quit their jobs and started their own business after Shameless Ambition, which is so incredibly validating. And it the magnitude of that weekend will not be lost on me forever, because it truly changed my life.
Yeah.
I'm a happier, healthier woman because of the risks that I took. Even though I was scared, I did it anyways. I chose women that made me feel strong to have by my side, and everything about it was a celebration of women. And so I'm definitely feeling a little emotional this week thinking about it, but just so grateful to have had that experience.
Yeah. I clued in when I was writing up my calendar, and I was like, teachers convention. And I was like, ooh, shameless weekend, right? Yeah. So I was like, yeah, got in. But it brings you back to these moments. So in talking about International Women's Day, I was supposed to say Inspirational Women's Day, but, anyway.
Same.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about some of the women that have inspired us to get us here, or, to choose what we've chose to do in life. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I have like a little list of just some women that I have. There's no flow to it, so I just think we're just going to wing it.
Yeah. I mean, in Grand Prairie, I've definitely worked with a lot of women locally who have inspired me. Allison Gustafson from Victoria's Attic is one of them. She has been in business for 30 years here in the community, and she just seems to show up and show out every single year, just building on her business and her brand and how she gives back to the community. And I've had the pleasure of working with her on several projects over the years, and I just love the energy that she gives to everything that she does. Another woman locally is our mayor, Jackie Clayton. She's just, we love you, Jackie. You are such a boss.
Jackie rubbed my baby belly. I was like, I went home and told Tyler, I was like, I can tell little Bean that the mayor touched them.
Right? Famous baby already.
Yeah.
But the thing I love so much about Jackie is that she's so unapologetically herself. She is who she is, take it or leave it, and she pursues all of her ambitions in life shamelessly. She knows what she wants and she goes after it. And I've been fortunate to be the recipient of a lot of her time over the years. Jackie has been a true cheerleader, a true champion, a true supporter of women. She's never made me feel less than. I've never felt intimidated in her presence, even though she can be quite direct. That's something I love about her, because she
still feels so comforting.
She is.
Like, that's one thing I like. We've talked about energy, right? And, people's energy. And you can tell she's a boss. And you can tell she's, like, strong in her opinions and what she believes in, those sorts of things. I mean, she is the mayor. She has to be, right? Yeah. But anytime I've ever had a conversation with her, I felt nothing but, like, comforted. Like, it's okay. Like, if her and I had a difference of opinion, she would still hear me out, and she wouldn't be mean to me after. She'd be like, okay, cool, Justine. It would be fine. So
she truly is a woman's woman, and I love that about her. She's a mom. She's, been married to her husband for a couple decades now. He's a rad dude too, and I just really feel so grateful to be able to call her and say, hey, Jackie, can we have a lunch? And she listens to my ideas. She gives me thoughts and feedback. She helps create opportunities for me. And she opened the show at Shameless Ambition last year, and it was just truly an honor to have her there. I also had the extreme pleasure of having my best friend speak at Shameless Ambition last year, Emma Hodgson. She's been my ride or die since we were like 18 years old. And if there is anybody who has made me feel like I can shoot for the moon and get there, it's Emma. She has encouraged everything I've ever done. She's supported every idea I've ever had, whether or not it was a good idea.
Or told you it was a bad one, if it was.
Yeah, for the most part. But at the same time, she's so great at asking me the kind of questions that force me to think about all the external factors and, well, did you think about this, or have you considered this? Can I put you in touch with this person? She's really great at just getting into my mind and helping me make sense of it. And when we were younger, we were just full of piss and vinegar. We were absolutely hilarious in our ambitions. We were going to conquer the world. And one of our biggest dreams was to become the CEOs of Kentucky, Canada. Do you know what Kentucky is?
No.
So Kentucky, I don't know if Kentucky is still around, but Kentucky is this company that created guided tours for young individuals.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you were going to like Thailand or Australia, you'd go on a Kentucky
like an S
tour.
trip.
Yeah,
kind of
and
thing,
like
yeah.
you'd jump on a bus with a bunch of other 20-somethings. And Emma and I had the idea that Canada needed its own Kentucky tour. And my husband, Mike, he was my boyfriend at the time, he's like, girls, that's so dumb.
Who
like,
wants to come to Canada?
Who wants to come to Canada on a Kentucky tour? And we're like, Mike D, we shit you not, Kentucky, Canada will be a thing. And one day we will become the CEOs of it. Well, like 5 years later, Kentucky, Canada was legit a thing. And there's all these tours happening across Canada. So I mean, as long as Kentucky is still around, there's still time for that.
Still, yeah.
And
it's not dead dream yet.
But to have a friend like that from such an early age who never made me feel judged, who wasn't jealous of my big ambitions, she supported them.
And she's grown a wonderful business herself.
Exactly.
Now.
She's wildly successful in her own lane, and to have that kind of true champion in my corner all the time over the years has been my superpower. My girlfriends are my superpower. And, you see those things on social media where it's like, they don't talk often enough about the friends you meet in the middle of life, and they come in and they change your life. And it's, they get to know a version of you that is the best version of you. And that's you for me. And so when you came into my life, it's like my superpowers just grew. And I just feel so grateful for the women in my life who see me for who I am and don't judge or, respond with jealousy or criticism, that just really want to see me succeed. And I'm so inspired every single day by so many women.
Yeah, I mean, the list is endless, right?
It is endless.
I started thinking, and I'm like, okay, well, if I start name dropping my friends, well, we're going to be here a while. Not that I have that many friends, but every single one of my girlfriends has at one point, if not continuously through our friendship, inspired me.
In one way or
in
another.
some way, in whether it's motherhood or entrepreneurship or relationships or just anything. They've always been an inspiration to me. And I've grown with most of my friendships I have, minus you, because we are newer friends, right? We, as you just mentioned, we met later in life. But all of my other girlfriends, like you, I have had from a younger age. So 18 plus ish. And that's a lot to grow with people.
It is.
They know ugly Justine, right? The not so great versions of myself. And decided to still be my friend anyway. So, or we found our way back to each other, right? And I think that that's amazing. And this is just speaking for myself, motherhood brought me so much closer to the women in my life.
Oh, for sure.
And that's not saying that you have to have children to have a good village of women. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just for me personally, that connection of other women doing it with me, it just got so much deeper. I had babies, my first baby I had earlier than all my other friends. So I get the text from them now with the memes being like, I'm sorry, I didn't know then. Right? When they would be like, hey, do you want to hang out? And I'm like, no. Do you want to come to my house? And, right? Or they just didn't understand the phase I was in until now they're in it. But I'm still in it, so it's fine now. But yeah, and then obviously Lynn's, I think I've mentioned this before, my older sister, Sarah, who is an incredible inspiration to me on so many levels. But she told me, she's like, Justine, one day in your 30s, you'll meet a friend and she's gonna change your world. Aww. And I was like, yeah, that's okay. I got lots of friends, and it wasn't that I wasn't open to meeting new people, but I was just okay, maybe that would be great, but sure. And then I met Lynn's and I was like, oh, cool. I think it's called my green person.
That's right.
But yeah, she changed my life. So I do have Lynn's on my list, for sure, of inspirational women that I mean, we talked about the conference. You inspired me. We were growing close through the conference. I think the conference was really when we started getting
Well,
extremely
it was
close,
your birthday before the conference. My sister and I came over. We were hanging out for the day.
I just had Aspen.
You had just had Aspen, and I asked you that day to do the yoga at Shameless Ambition. And I mean, I do know a lot of yoga instructors, and even though Justine and I were newer in our friendship, I just knew I needed her energy and her vibes there. She was the person I wanted to do this with. And I feel like from that moment, our conversations started evolving, because now this wasn't just my event, it was your event as well, in the sense of I
got to contribute.
You got to contribute in your own lane in a way that allowed you to shine on your own. And
I was so grateful for that.
It was such a beautiful experience. Yeah. I literally, like I said, the whole weekend was perfect, because we had the perfect lineup, we had the perfect crew, and it really was just nothing but love and support. But watching you present that yoga class was so overwhelming in all the most beautiful ways. I was so proud of you.
I was so nervous.
Oh, I literally just
I don't think I've ever been so nervous. But
I think you barely opened your mouth and already I'm crying, just like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. And there's 70 women in here doing yoga.
There was a lady like doing yoga on a coffee table. Like it was awesome. It was absolutely amazing. But yeah, you inspire me to not stay stagnant. Like, and I say that in the kindest way. She's not a drill sergeant by any means, but having Lynn's in my life, I know I can't stay stagnant. Like, no. Especially for our friendship. And our friendship means the absolute world to me. So I know that for our friendship to continue growing and getting stronger, that I still have, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still having to be ambitious and put my best foot forward and show up for her and show up for the podcast, like all the things we're doing together. She keeps me accountable. She is like my rock. So you are 100% a super inspiration to me on so many levels of just like ambition and motherhood and friendship and relationships.
You know, in counter to that, I think we both bring such different dynamic elements to our friendship. There's a lot about us that we have in common and that are the same. However, I bring out a side of ambition and energy and productivity in you that maybe necessarily wouldn't be there if we weren't friends. However, you bring out a side of vulnerability and honesty and growth that I don't think I would have if we weren't friends.
Totally.
Because
I'd be sitting on my couch growing this fetus watching Real Housewives.
But the thing for me is that, like, I'm quite headstrong. I have been through a lot of experiences in my life where I've had to employ a very mind over matter mentality, and I'm very good at taking my emotions and just putting them to the side when something else needs to be done. And then I don't necessarily handle those emotions very well. Whereas I feel like with you, I feel safe to be vulnerable. And I never want to be somebody that's having a pity party or woe is me. And so I don't really talk about my challenges very often because I got them. I can handle them. However, every once in a while, I just kind of need to break down and I just need to be sad and I need to feel loved and I need it to not feel like a weak moment, and it doesn't with you. And so thank you for creating that space for me, because everybody needs that person that can just hold space for them.
Yeah, I'll share this. I haven't shared this. I don't even know if I've shared this with you, so I might cry. No, but we actually, Lindsay and I had a moment. So I was about 8 weeks pregnant, and Tyler was gone to Calgary, I think, or Texas, or I don't know, somewhere. He was gone. And I had just taught the Oogie, or the...
This was Halloween.
Yeah, the glow guy. I said Oogie Boogie. Anyway, the glow guy. And we had like this giant dance party with glow sticks. And it was a great night. I was like, got home riding this super high. Sensitive information to come up here in the next few sentences, but I got home and I started bleeding really, really bad. Like to the point where I thought I was having a miscarriage. So, I texted Linz and because obviously Ty wasn't home, I texted Linz and kind of in a panic, and she's like instantly texts me back. She's like, do you need me to come over? And I'm like, no, like I'm sitting on the toilet, like it's okay. And we only live like 3 minutes away from each other. And I was like, no, I'll be okay. Like I'm just gonna try and call Tyler. He was sleeping because it was like 1:00 in the morning. And she's like, I'm on my way. After I told her like, no, I'm okay. She's like, I'm on my way. So fast forward a couple, 20 minutes, and she's on my couch, and she held me while I uncontrollably sobbed for probably a good half hour. She just like literally like cradled me and held me, and we rocked. And I can tell you that there's only one other person other than my parents that I've ever felt comfortable enough to do that with, and it's Tyler.
Aww.
So, but that, like, I mean, we've had such incredible moments together where I'm like, I don't know what I would have done without her in that moment. And I know, like, we've had this conversation too. So I know it's reciprocated, but yeah, it's been incredible to just like have one of the most inspirational women walk into my life in my 30s, and when I didn't know I needed it.
Me neither. And I've said this on the podcast before that I didn't think I needed any more friends. I've got lots of friends.
Yeah.
And but there was a void in my life that I didn't even realize was there until I met you. And, to that story, our friendship is not built on the highs, solely on the highs. Yes, the public perception is that we're always doing cool stuff. We're always having fun, which we are.
We do. We do have a lot of fun.
But there are those lows of life that I feel so thankful to have my wife.
Yeah, we call each other wife. Yeah.
To share these tough times and these moments with, like, it goes both ways. Mike and I left the country for a week in November, and
yay! I was so proud of them.
Left our critically ill daughter with Justine and Ty and the family, because she had told me, Linz, I got this. Give me the girls. Like, I want you to go on this trip with Mike. And I would have never gone had you not insistently put it out there, Lindsay, give me the girls. I can do this.
Well, and then like the universe would throw it on top of you, and Mike made Maisie's Dexcom. Her signal wasn't working. So you guys didn't even get to
Mike
see.
And I can see on our phones every 5 minutes what's happening with Maisie's blood sugars, but we were having an issue with the Dexcom while we were gone, and so Justine could see it on Maisie's phone.
Yeah.
But we couldn't see it the entire time. And normally this would have given us
Blind
an
faith.
absolute heart attack. But so often I would just remind myself, Justine's got it. And she'll call me if she doesn't. Yeah. Or she'll call my sister if she doesn't. And I can't tell you how many times I would pop into a conversation that Mike was having on that trip, and he would be telling everybody about you. And
Mike and I got closer through that too.
Totally.
I remember
For him to have that kind of trust in somebody who's not a family member was huge for both of us, to be honest. And, I have friends that I've had for 20 years that have still never looked after my daughter. Yeah. And so I think that we give to this friendship in such beautiful ways, where there are times where one of us needs a little bit more, and we recognize that. And we've talked lots about this, that 80-20.
Brene Brown.
Exactly. Yeah. I got 80 today. I'll make up the extra 20. And I just feel so much stronger because I know I have you.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't know what my life would ever look like without, it just wouldn't happen. So it's actually a funny thing in the house, because what did Tyler bring up the other day? He's like, yeah, maybe moving back to Central Alberta in the next, 5 to 10 years. And he's like, but I know you won't leave Lindsay. And I'm like, no. Sorry, it's, you brought me here. You got me here, and now I'm just not gonna leave. It's just, I just can't.
Well, that's, we're just building our lives together in such a beautiful way that I have full confidence that one day when life presents the right opportunities, we will make that move together. Yeah. And literally within months, if not weeks of each other, if not, we'll be packing U-Hauls on the same day.
We'll just maybe you get a 2-for-1 on a moving truck.
But I think that's an important point to make, in the sense of when you find a woman who makes you feel like what we're describing, when you have that safety and security, don't let her go. And that might mean that sometimes you do have to give a little bit more because maybe she's going through something, but it's so worth it. Yeah. Female friendships and relationships are literally the most beautiful thing in my life. And I feel better, stronger, faster, smarter every single day because of the women I'm surrounded by.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, you have to put the effort in, right? Even when you don't want to put the effort in sometimes. I think, and it's not that you don't want to put the effort in, but you're just so tired, right? Like it's been a long day, or you have 100 things on your plate. If it's a relationship you really want to invest in, you put the effort in, and then it becomes effortless, after however long. But yeah, you really have to put the effort in and build them and be vulnerable and show up sometimes when it's hard for you to show up. Like you still have to show up because it's not always going to be easy for them to show up for you, but they still do. So, yeah.
What would you say to the women out there that struggle with their relationships with women, that just kind of naturally have a hard time with it? Like there are so many women out there that just aren't sure how to handle relationships with other women.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to give two answers. I'll be
Love it.
quick, hopefully, with them. I think that there's one of two scenarios usually. I think that if a woman has a really hard time connecting with other women, she has a little bit of issues probably with jealousy or herself. And
Right.
That's okay. Like we've all been there. I am not shaming or shitting on anyone, I promise, because I've been there. I've been the girl who was so insecure with myself that I had a really hard time making friends with other women because they made me instantly jealous, or I got competitive, and that's not a good friendship to have, right? There's a good competition of like you make each other do better, but then there's a very unhealthy level of competition that you can place on a friendship that will just ruin it. So I think that plays into it, but I also think that there are lots of women out there who have been vulnerable with other women and been burned bad. And it puts this wall up that's like, nope, no, I'm not going to let you in. I'm not going to let people in like that again because it hurts. Like it's not always good. So I think in that case, my advice to women with the jealousy is just work on yourself. Like, most women these days in this woke world are not out to trash you or compete with you or tear you down. They're there to support you if you find the right ones. And it's finding the right ones. And same goes for that woman who has her guard up like all hell. There's some shitty women out there, don't get me wrong. Like, sorry, girls. Like there's some of you that have not done the growth you need to do. And you still like to sit at the table, the high school table, right? The mean girls table. And, but just know that there are other women out there that don't tolerate that. They're not a piece of that. They're just like, nope, that's not my thing. So you just have to find those women. And once you do, I think breaking down the wall becomes a lot easier. And maybe share your past experience with them of being burned bad by women so that they understand why the relationship might be a slow burn.
Yeah. We love a slow burn.
Oh, I have a slow burn bestie, and I force myself on her a lot.
Well, and I think, an important thing to remember too with women is that trust your vibes. Like the vibes don't lie. If you feel good around somebody, that's probably a good indicator that you should invest a little more time and energy into that relationship. If they just make you feel yucky, it's okay. Back away. You don't have to be friends with everybody. I think ultimately what it comes down to is how we handle ourselves and how we hold ourselves in the space of other women.
Yeah.
I know that once I started walking into a room full of women with confidence and trust in myself to begin with, I felt more comfortable and confident in the situation, knowing that it's like, I don't need them to love me. I don't need them to understand me. I don't need them to even respect me, but I know that I love, understand, and respect myself, and that's ultimately the most important thing.
Yeah, so I think like that, what you just said, it's huge, is it leads back to just being yourself, right? So being authentic. But when you go in with a need for that friendship or a need for that relationship or connection, you end up not being authentically yourself because you're going to morph to be what you think that they want you to be. And usually if you're just your weird, cool self, they're more inclined to like you because
There's
you
just
know?
such a safety in just being yourself.
Yeah.
You will literally stress so much less when you just decide to show up as yourself every single day.
And know that your weirdness is okay. Like
Totally.
me and Ari are going through this hard right now because she is a little weird. Like, and that's okay. I think it's amazing. But her style, sometimes the way she does her makeup or her hair or whatever, like she likes to wear some weird outfits. It is a little weird. So I give her the conversation of, hey, honey, people might look at you and laugh or make fun of you, but if you're confident in what you're wearing or what you're doing and whatever, all good. Like, and then they'll stop making fun of you because whatever, right? They'll probably do it the next day because they think it's cool. But just be so confident. If that's your choice, be confident in it and own it. And it's okay to be weird. Weird is way better than normal. So
Totally.
that's just, you know,
don't
how
wanna be
I
like everybody else.
No, not at all. And so I'm like, embrace your weirdness.
Yeah.
As long as it's a healthy weirdness, you know, like embrace your weird. So yeah.
It was funny. My brother was up visiting a couple weeks ago, and Mike was telling him the story of when we went on the Volcom party bus down in LA, and how I got on the bus and immediately went the other way from my husband. I saw 3 young girls sitting in the back, and I could tell, you know, they were kind of hiding themselves back there, whereas everybody else was in the front. And I sat down with these girls and just started chatting with them, getting to know them, hyping them up for the night. We had made a bet to see whether or not I could get the bus driver to play Avril Lavigne's Complicated. I won that bet. And within 20 minutes, I had the entire bus singing Avril Lavigne at the top of their lungs. And anyways, Mike was telling my brother this story, and he was explaining how typically people in the snowboard industry, it's like this competition of cool. Like, everyone's so cool in the snowboard industry that...
What's the word for cool?
It's
right now.
In the snow. Oh, sick, bro.
Sick. It's still sick. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not hip to
Me
the
neither.
jive.
No.
Again, I
I'm
don't
not
care.
hip to the jive. Is that what you just said?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that aged us for sure. No, just kidding.
But it didn't matter to me. I wasn't there to compete with anybody. I wasn't there to be cooler than anybody. I was there to just be myself and have a great time.
Yeah.
And I was the life of that bus because I was just having so much fun, and I literally did not care what people were thinking about me in that moment. I was there to enjoy the memory with my husband, to make new friends, and I knew that in that moment my vibe was everything, and it was a cool experience.
I think that when you can go in, like you're saying, and just no filters, right? And just be yourself and have the conversation first. Like, if you see a group of women, and I get it, it's so intimidating, but you see them and you're walking, go say hi. Just do it. Like, walk up and be like, hey girls, what's up? I'm Justine, you're whatever, you know, like, if I don't know, you have to put yourself out there.
Totally.
Because you will be received a lot better, even if they don't end up being your friends, or even if you don't hang out with them for the event or whatever you're out doing. They're going to receive you well. Like, they're not going to be mean to you more than likely if you're just like willing to put yourself out there and be like, hi, how are you? You know, like, and just break the ice. It's when you stand back in the corner
and
you're like
small.
Or
I'm
just gonna
you
stand
got your
here
judgy face
and have my
on,
drink and just like, because I'm so uncomfortable, right? You really want to go have the conversation. Internally, you do. You want to be a part of the group, but you feel so uncomfortable, and then it just creates this weird energy, and then all of a sudden the energy's real, and then, you know, it's just a weird icky vibe. So that's my advice: is go say hi.
Well, and I just, like, you have nothing
Like you
to be
did.
afraid of.
Go sit with them.
Go sit with them. Just say
Yeah.
what's up. I mean, you'll know in a quick 5 minutes whether or not the conversation is engaging and something
you can
wanna be a
always
part
get
of.
up.
You can always
And
leave the conversation.
Like, yeah, it's that power is yours. And two, if you walk over and sit or introduce yourself, it is your power to leave.
Yeah.
Right? So you can leave the situation and be like, oh, oops.
On that note, girlfriends, we invite you to leave any conversation where there is women bashing happening, gossip happening. It is not productive. It is toxic for your brain, your heart, your mind, your soul, everything about it. Don't sit at those tables.
And don't even if you're not a part of the conversation, like you're not adding anything, just don't even be there, because it will be acknowledged that you were at the table.
Exactly.
Usually, like when it comes out, even
like,
if you said something or not.
Back in the fall, you and I were at an event where I felt like we were trapped at a table where both of us were looking at each other across the table like, is this really happening right now? Like, are we a part of this conversation? No, we were not a part of it, but we were sitting at the table, and man, it left an ick. And I know you know exactly which conversation I'm talking about.
And we'll never sit at that table again.
No.
So, and that's okay. We learned, like, you learn a lot about people in those moments. Yeah, but so it goes to show there's still mean girls. There's still mean girl tables, and it's okay to encounter them. It's okay to get up and leave from them. You don't have to be a part of them. But there's like the really cool kid tables too,
exactly.
like where we're just talking about dreams and goals and like motherhood or relationships and supporting each other and making each other laugh or holding each other while we cry. There are those women out there. You just have to find them, and you will find them if you're looking for them and you're putting out that energy as well.
Well, and that's just it. Maybe it isn't that friend that you've had for 20 years. Maybe it is your green friend that you meet in your mid 30s that you don't know any of the same people, and that's wonderful. Our entire friendship was built on dreams, goals, movies, music, reality TV.
Like and just each other though.
Like just sharing space together.
We had nothing else externally except for each other that brought us together.
That's right.
It was just her and I and Mike D.
And
Mike like, you guys think you guys might vibe, but
exactly.
There was nothing else that brought us. No other friends, no other event or career really or anything. It was just we brought each other together and built it from there.
Well, we invested the time, and we've had a lot of really hard conversations over the years. For being friends for only 3 years, holy man! Like I feel like we've talked about it all. We've had every conversation under the sun that might suck or feel weird, but there's a safety and security here knowing that there's nothing we cannot talk about.
I mean, hey, at least we feel weird together.
I love being weird with you. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. And whether we're hosting industry night or recording the podcast, or the other day we just sat in our living room and caught up on our thoughts on the challenge, and that was just such a fulfilling conversation because we need to talk about these things.
We do.
Yeah. Important chats in our life, but
who is, I know we've talked about this briefly on the podcast before, but talking about today and being International Women's Day, if you could pick, and I'm gonna say one, but I know it might be hard for you to say one, but if you could pick one just like pivotal woman, famous, not famous, family, friend, whatever, growing up that really inspired you, like someone that just always stuck with you to inspire you, who would it be?
Oh, this is such a tough one because I'm like, do I lean into the musicians whose lyrics carried me through some of the darkest, toughest times of my life? Do I lean into some of the writers whose books changed everything that all my perspectives? Do I lean into my incredible relationship with my mom and my sister? I think for me, somebody who has always stood out as an inspiration, as somebody who I would like to sort of model my life and my behavior after, is Pink. And I think I said this on a podcast earlier, but like, I love what a badass she is. I love how unapologetic she is. I love how much she loves her family. What an incredible role model she is for women. She has never looked like a traditional pop star. She has never written lyrics like a traditional pop star. And she loves her man. She loves her music. She loves her family. And I just always want to carry that little bit of badass inside of me, because I really do feel like it's that bit of badass that forces me to just kick down the next door and see what's through it. Exactly. I feel like I need that because my dreams are so much bigger than I can even handle sometimes. And so when I kind of adopt that badass mentality, that shamelessness, that unapologetic pursuit of just being awesome, I think of Pink and I just feel her spirit inside of me. I love her so much. So
how many times have you seen her perform?
I've only ever seen her perform once. Okay. I have a video of me and Emma, who is like, oh man, we have rocked out at so many shows together over the years. But we're singing to her song Fucking Perfect at the top of our lungs, and that song has been an anthem for me and for Emma for years and years and years and years. Don't you ever, pretty please, don't you ever feel like you're less than fucking perfect. And I mean, on my good days, my bad days, my sad days, my ambitious days, that song has always just been a bit of strength for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, who doesn't love Pink?
Oh, she's the best.
I've watched what's the one moment that sticks out for me the most with Pink? I think she goes up on stage and she's getting an award for something, and you might know exactly what it is. I don't know. But she talks about her daughter. About how like someone called her a boy or something, and she goes into this
I remember that.
This speech about like women empowerment, and I'm like, there hasn't ever been any moment in, and it'd be hard to live in the limelight like any celebrity, where Pink has been someone that gives you an ick, like, right? Like she's
never.
always, all of her moments have been inspirational or empowering and very positive. Like I'm sure she's had her moments, but she's just a very, what seems to be very well-rounded, wicked person. So,
well, it's like in her music video for So What, I love that she's driving a lawn tractor down the freeway in LA after she kicked her husband out for a bit. This was before they had kids. And she's singing So What, I'm Still a Rock Star. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. And, you know, even on my tough days, I'll blast that tune and just, I am still a rock star. I'm a rock star every single day that I wake up. And I just am so thankful for powerful women that put themselves out there, that own their voice so shamelessly and unapologetically. And so that's who it would be for me. Who would it be for you?
I don't know.
No.
No, I've been like, oh no, I hope she doesn't ask it back. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have like a top like celebrity that I've kind of always looked up to, or musician. I mean, music has gotten me through a lot of dark times, male or female. Like it's just what the song usually is about. But yeah, music. But yeah, I can't say that like one sole person. Honestly, I can't.
No, I feel you. I feel you. It's so
I
hard.
agree with your answer of Pink. Yeah, I can get behind that. I mean, I'm a big Brene Brown is like someone I always turn to as a writer or a speaker if I need grounding.
Right.
So she the way she speaks, what she speaks about, has a way of bringing me out of my shoes and putting myself usually in my husband's shoes, because lots of her stuff does talk about relationships and vulnerability. So that really does help me if I need to bring myself back and get out of my pity party. So she has had some great words that have saved me or led me through the right path. A super inspirational woman to me, and I say this kindly, but I don't want to live my life like her just because there's so many generations and difference. But she's an inspiration to me just with her grit and her hard work, would be my grandma. And she helped raise me since I was a kid. So to look back now and just like watch my grandpa died when she was early 50s. She's never had another relationship because she says she's still married. Like in her heart, like she's like, I can't, like I'm still married to your grandpa. And he's been gone now for 33 years. So like she's been alone a long time, but she's happy to be alone. Not that I would ever want that for Tyler. If that was our case, like I would, want him to be happy. But to look at her love for him be so immense, like so big.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm like that. Like it blows my mind, right? That she just was like, no, I'll just wait. So there's that really inspires me about her. And just like that, she was like an old farm wife until she got kicked off the farm because she couldn't walk anymore.
Nobody tougher out there than farm women. Shout out to all the farm gals.
She taught me how to do math in the snow while we were like bedding cattle at 6 a.m. And my sister, she did the same thing for. And she was just there for like all of our little moments. And until you have to do those little moments, you don't realize how hard they were. And yet she was like a grandma doing them. And yeah, she's a wonderful lady. So I mean, I look up to her a lot. There's some generational gaps there, so I definitely don't share a lot of the same ideas or opinions as her, because times have changed quite a bit. But she is definitely an inspiration of how she's lived her life for sure.
On the topic of how she's lived her life, I got to bring up Chelsea Handler. Are you familiar with Chelsea Handler?
A bit.
Oh, I've read all of her books, and if you want to read a woman who is unapologetic, this zero fucks, zero. She has zero to give, and her books are hilarious. I don't often laugh out loud while I'm reading, but I remember crushing a couple of her books on the beach in Mexico and literally crying. I'm laughing so hard because this woman just doesn't take life too seriously. Just the other day, she posted a reel of her on her 49th birthday, skiing down the hill, smoking a joint, a drink in her hand, in a bikini with her dog on her back in a backpack. And I was just like, this is goals. This is legit goals. I might need to get a dog or borrow a dog, but like, I mean, the rest is so doable.
Totally.
And I just feel like women who live their lives with such authenticity are so inspiring. And when we're talking about International Women's Day and a celebration of women, for me, I just want to give a round of applause to every single woman out there who just shows up authentically in her day, who feels safe and confident in herself and in her dreams. And I just, man, am I inspired by you. So.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think there's such power. And I've said this time and time again, there's power in vulnerability and power in authenticity. Because no one's like you. Like, someone might be similar.
Well, apparently I look exactly like your sister.
You do.
Yeah. So.
And you sound, you guys sometimes say the same thing, and I'm like, weird. But they have yet to meet, so that will be a fun day when you guys
But still totally different people, right?
So different. Oh my God,
into
so
your
different.
life in different ways.
So different. I mean, me and my sister have conversation, but yeah, no, so different. I think there is no one else like you, right? So when you can bring that to the table, like it also allows other people to feel free. And like they can be themselves, and then they want to be around you more because they're like, I can be myself with them and they don't care. Which is so great.
That's my wish for any woman, listener, whoever enters our orbit. If we are ever sharing space with you, I hope from the bottom of my heart that you feel safe to be yourself. I hope that you feel comfortable to express your thoughts, to ask questions, to engage in the conversation. Be weird. Oh man, we love weird.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be, if I could share one message on International Women's Day, it's that I hope you feel safe in your space to just be who you are, because, you know, today you are you and you're always going to be you and the world needs you. So
yeah, and if you don't like you, then fix it.
That's right.
Like, I mean, we all have things or have had things we don't like about ourselves. That's normal. And we work on fixing it, you know, and that's okay. There's no shame in that either. So
that's right.
Zero shame.
And there's so much accomplishment in growth when, like I said, I've been really emotional this week, looking back on where I was last year and looking at where I'm at now, and the growth has been astronomical. And did it suck at times? Hell yeah, it did, girlfriend. But I'm so happy that I sat in the ick and I sat in the stuff and I grew and I chose to be vulnerable and share, so that I could grow and learn. It's been a beautiful year.
Yeah, it has. It's fun to reflect back.
Totally.
Like, it's crazy that it's, yeah.
I feel like we literally just blew this hour by. Like, how are we coming up on an hour?
Yeah, I remember looking and being like, oh, we're at 31 minutes. We're good.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, that's because we're talking about something we're so passionate about that it's just like...
I do have someone I want to shout out in my notebook.
Shout her out.
She gets enough shout outs in life. But it's Taylor Swift.
Oh, love T Swift.
And I know this year is her year. I mean, what year hasn't been her year? But anyway, no. I don't, and take this with a grain of salt. Hopefully we don't lose too many followers. I don't care for her current music. I love her old music, like the older stuff she played. But with that being said, that's just subjective. That's just my taste in music. So that's nothing against her as a woman at all. That's just taste in music. So no judges there. But I want to speak to what she's accomplished. Like, it freaking blows my mind. I was like, just watch, she'll be the next president. Like,
right?
At this rate. But no, she is an iconic woman And she's been through a lot in the public eye. Like, she's been slut shamed, she's been drugged
All
through
the
the mud,
shames.
Kanye shamed, all the, you know, or Jay-Z, whoever did it, I don't know.
It was Kanye.
Yeah, it was Kanye.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's been, you know, she's been through it. I think her mom battled breast cancer. So yeah, she's been through a lot, but she still has been able to like build this empire to become like the richest woman in the world. I'm pretty sure I read.
She's bejeweled.
She's like a billionaire.
Yeah.
So and not that money defines your success, but just what she has done in her life, I think is absolutely incredible. And so yeah, she's a huge inspirational woman that I hope like my daughters look up to as like what you can do with your dreams.
Well, I once watched all 3 of our daughters dance to her Eras tour twice over for 6 hours in my basement. So I think T Swift is definitely leaving an impression on them.
She is, but it's not a bad one.
No,
you know what I mean?
no.
So like as watching that as a mom, watching your daughters like sing to this music, that's not bad. It's real,
empowering.
It's real life.
Yeah.
Like it's heartbreak. It's real stuff that they're gonna go through. Hopefully they can end up leaning on those lyrics one day if they need to. But like she's such a wicked role model. Whether you like her music or not, what she has done as a person and as a woman is top notch. So I think that just needs to be recognized.
Friendships with other women is so unbelievably
because they
beautiful to watch.
There's so many women that rip her down, and she's just like, oh, let's lift them up.
That's right.
So, yeah, I had her on my list, and I was like, I cannot give T Swift the recognition she needs. But are you ready for the closing quote?
Bring it on, girlfriend.
Okay. Here's to women breaking down barriers, to the women lifting each other up, to the women paving the way for our future, to the women who never give up, to the women who are our biggest supporters, to the women making change. You are smart, strong, resilient, beautiful, and powerful. You matter. You are loved. Here's to you.
To all the women out there, happy International Women's Day. Thank you for tuning in.
See you next week.